The impudent husband I want you to leave. Now. Those words echoed through the spacious living room of the upscale apartment. Emily stood by the door, her hand trembling slightly as she pointed towards the exit. Her voice was firm, but her heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. David, her husband, looked up from the couch where he was lounging, his expression one of surprise and amusement. He was a tall man with a rugged charm, dressed in casual clothes that belied his wealth and influence. His dark eyes, usually filled with a mischievous glint, now bore into Emily with a mix of curiosity and annoyance. "But this is my apartment," he said slowly, emphasizing each word as if explaining something to a child. "Our apartment," he corrected himself, his tone dripping with condescension. Emily's resolve hardened. She had rehearsed this moment countless times in her mind. She had endured years of David's arrogance, his dismissive attitude, and his infidelities. The final straw had come last night when she discovered yet another incriminating message on his phone, confirming what she had suspected all along. "Not any more," she replied, her voice steady, despite the turmoil inside her. "I've had enough, David. You need to leave." David chuckled, a sound that sent chills down Emily's spine. He stood up, towering over her, his presence intimidating. "And where do you expect me to go?" he asked, his voice laced with sarcasm. "This is my home. I pay the bills. I bought the furniture. Stop it!" Emily cut him off, her voice rising. "This isn't about money, David. It's about respect. It's about the countless nights I spent alone wondering where you were. It's about the lies, the cheating, the utter disregard for our marriage." Her voice broke slightly, but she pressed on. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. The papers are ready. I just need you to leave." David's face darkened, his amusement vanishing. "You think you can just kick me out, that you have the power to dictate terms to me?" His voice was low, dangerous. Emily took a deep breath, summoning all her courage. "Yes, I do, because I deserve better, and so do you, frankly. Maybe one day you'll realize that." She held her ground, staring him down. For a moment David looked as if he might explode, but then something in his eyes shifted. He saw the determination in Emily's gaze, the unwavering resolve. He knew she meant every word. Slowly he nodded, a grudging respect surfacing in his expression. "Fine," he said quietly. "I'll go. But don't think for a second that this is over." He grabbed his jacket and walked towards the door, pausing briefly as he looked back at her. "You'll regret this, Emily." Emily didn't flinch. She watched as David left, the door closing behind him with a finality that felt both terrifying and liberating. She let out a shaky breath, the weight of the moment settling over her. For the first time in years she felt a flicker of hope. It wouldn't be easy, and there were still battles to be fought. But she had taken the first step towards reclaiming her life, and that was a victory in itself. Emily walked to the window, looking out at the city below. The world felt wide open, full of possibilities. She knew there would be difficult days ahead, but she also knew she had the strength to face them. David slammed the door behind him, his mind reeling. The audacity of Emily to kick him out of his own apartment was unfathomable. He walked down the street, his anger building with each step. He had built his life from the ground up, amassed wealth and influence, and now he was being thrown out like trash. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Jake, it's David. I need a place to crash for a few days. Yeah, things got messy at home." Jake, his longtime friend and confidant, agreed without hesitation. David made his way to Jake's place, fuming. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Back at the apartment, Emily felt a mix of relief and sorrow. The man she once loved was gone, but so was the toxic relationship that had consumed her. She wandered through the apartment, memories flooding her mind. The first time they moved in, the parties, the quiet nights, it all felt like a different lifetime. She sat down at the kitchen table, the divorce papers in front of her. Her lawyer, Susan, had been supportive and thorough, ensuring everything was in place. Emily picked up the pen, her hand shaking slightly. She signed her name, each stroke of the pen feeling like a step towards freedom. As she finished, her phone rang. It was Susan. "Emily, I just wanted to check in. How are you holding up?" Emily took a deep breath. "I'm okay, Susan. I signed the papers." "That's a big step, Emily. I'm proud of you. Remember, you have the support you need. We'll get through this." "Thank you, Susan. I couldn't have done this without you." After hanging up, Emily felt a sense of calm. She decided to take a walk, clear her mind. The city was bustling with life, a stark contrast to the turmoil she had been living in. She walked aimlessly, letting the sights and sounds distract her. She found herself at a small park, a place she used to visit often. She sat on a bench, watching children play and couples stroll by. She realized how much she had missed out on, being trapped in a loveless marriage. David, meanwhile, was venting to Jake. "Can you believe her? After everything I've done for her, she kicks me out." Jake listened patiently. "David, you've got to look at it from her perspective. She's been unhappy for a long time. Maybe it's time to rethink things." David scowled. "Rethink what? I gave her everything." "Everything but your time and respect," Jake replied calmly. "Maybe this is a wake-up call." David was silent for a moment. He knew Jake was right, but admitting it was a different story. "I don't know, man. I just don't know." Days turned into weeks, and Emily slowly adjusted to her new life. She found solace in her work, her friends, and new hobbies. She started painting again, something she hadn't done in years. It brought her joy and a sense of accomplishment. One evening, while attending an art gallery opening, she met someone. His name was Michael, an art critic with a gentle demeanour and a genuine interest in her work. They talked for hours, sharing stories and laughter. It was the first time in a long time that Emily felt truly seen. They began to see each other more often, their connection growing stronger. Michael was kind, attentive, and everything David was not. Emily felt a happiness she had forgotten existed. David, on the other hand, was struggling. He moved from one friend's place to another, unable to find stability. He missed his old life, but more than that, he missed Emily. He realized too late what he had lost. One day he decided to reach out to her. He dialed her number, his heart pounding. Emily answered, her voice calm and distant. "Emily, it's David. I wanted to talk." "David, I don't think there's anything left to say," she replied softly. "Please, Emily, just hear me out." There was a long pause. "Okay, David, what is it?" "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about everything. I know I messed up. I took you for granted, and I'm sorry." Emily was silent, her heart aching at his words. "David, I appreciate the apology, but we've both moved on. I found someone who respects and values me. I hope you can find happiness too." David felt a pang of jealousy and regret. "I'm glad you're happy, Emily. Truly, I wish I had realized sooner. We can't change the past, David, but we can learn from it. I hope you find peace." "Thank you, Emily. Take care." As he hung up, David felt a strange sense of closure. He knew he had to let go and move forward. Months passed, and Emily's life continued to flourish. Her relationship with Michael blossomed, and she felt a sense of contentment she had never known. She continued to paint, her work gaining recognition and praise. One evening, as she and Michael walked hand in hand through the park, she reflected on her journey. She had faced her fears, stood up for herself, and found a new beginning. Emily looked at Michael, his eyes filled with love and admiration. She smiled, knowing she had made the right choice. Life was full of challenges, but she was stronger now, ready to face whatever came her way. And as the sun set, casting a golden glow over the city, Emily felt a deep sense of peace. She had reclaimed her life, and it was more beautiful than she had ever imagined.